Remember, don't like, share, or subscribe. What are you trying to do? Blow up the channel or something? I got enough on my plate. And welcome back to Flatline. I hope you're enjoying success and health, wealth, and happiness. All's good over here. First, I want to apologize. I was off for about a week or so, not really uploading regular content. I got a business to run too over here, you know? And sometimes I'm inundated with responsibility. And of course, I always do these kinds of castings because I want to have my finger on the pulse of political and social psychology, especially as it relates to our world and culture. So I often do this for fun and, of course, to exchange commentary and ideas with other interested minds, even those minds that disagree. So, as always, whatever gives me great political and social commentary in order to discuss my various thoughts and ideas and how it affects our world at large. And they're touching on some great things in this episode. What men want, essentially. And Brian and Andrew are trying to explain that to these women that just don't seem to understand what it is that men want. Feed us, do us, shut the hell up. Real simple. Doesn't mean that you have to be an indentured servant. It just means you need to be a cooperative, submissive partner. So let's get into it. On this episode of Flatline, let's get busy.
I don't even believe that that's possible. I don't think that there's ever going to be a such thing as true equality between two people ever. I don't even think that such a thing is a possibility. So if you're in a relationship with another person, one person is going to be the dominant head. Why would that person not logically be the person who is physically stronger and the person who has to go and make the bread and make the financial choices for the household? That seems to kind of track and follow. The protector is going to be the person who ultimately is looked at as the leader and the leader of the household. So why shouldn't the woman submit to him?
Here's what I would be interested in hearing is what would you define as
Well, can you let her
submission?
answer real quick?
Oh, sure.
Just real quick.
So I would say, like, for that, so that's like that. My issue with that is, like, you don't value my opinion on, like you said, financial decisions, right?
That's not true.
But you said, like,
When
you're the dominant, like, you're the end all be all.
And
So
I think, I think you're making a conflation. It's not that, so for instance, I'm married. I value my wife's opinion, but what if we're having a conflict and I don't agree with her? If I say, look, I don't agree. I think right now it's the time for our family to take risk, and you don't think it's time for our family to take risk. While I value your opinion and your input, ultimately the decision falls on me to make that choice. And so I'm going to lead our family towards risk, let's say, or less risk. Let's say she says, I want to do something which is more risky to our finances. Ultimately, that falls on me to make that choice. There's only going to ever be one person who is the head, whether it's the woman or the man. I just think that it seems to be preferable that the man is the head. Women seem to prefer it, and men seem to prefer it.
Not in all cases does it work out that the man is the dominating force and in charge. Matter of fact, I remember a very happy couple that used to train in our facility where she was the working head of the family. And she was the breadwinner, and he was the guy who was home, and he raised the kids, and he was the one who was taking care of the household chores. Basically, they were doing like a gender swap. And for them, it worked, which was great. But generally, and on a whole, the man is the one who is taking up the mantle responsibility to make sure that the house and the home are provided for. Those women that have very strong masculine qualities and have really risen to a level in their life where they are in charge in their world, when they get home to relinquish that charge to the man, those are very special women. They don't come along very often. They do exist, but they don't come along very often. Because I know in my life, and in most men's lives, I would say that I remember getting together again with my spouse. I took over all our financials. I straightened out her credit. She was in a mound of debt. I got her out of that debt eventually. Matter of fact, I encouraged her that she had to sell her house, which she did. When we moved into our other home, we were there for 10 or 11 years. I said, we cannot stay anymore. This entire homeowners association is being run by spend deficit lunatics, and the value of this property is not going to go up. And it took me about 8 months to convince her to do it because I wanted her buy-in. I could have steamrolled right over her and forced it down her throat and made her do what I wanted her to do, but it's always better to get the buy-in. And after 8 months, after convincing her through a lot of models and examples and showing how financially I couldn't make it work and make it make sense, finally she got on board and said, we'll sell the house. Once we did, we moved to a brand new home that we built from the ground up. I paid off all our debts. We had no credit card debt. I bought her a truck, brand new. I funded 6 accounts in Schwab to get us going, and our whole life turned around just by that one decision. And now, of course, there's always bumps in the road along the way, but you make do when you have a good, strong partnership. But credit to her, to submitting to my leadership and my decision making to get us going in that direction, and then following shoulder to shoulder with me through that decision. That's a model for a good relationship.
So you're saying, like, if you guys have a disagreement, you're the end decision?
Of course.
That's why I wanted to know how you define submission, because I do have a thought I'd like to share, but I'd like to hear your definition of it first so I know where we're coming from.
I would say it would probably be like at the end of the day, that's like the final.
Like, who has the final
that's
say?
That's the final thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In that sense, real quick, I would just say, like, you can think about it like, just think about like a platonic relationship, though. Like you and your friend. I understand in this scenario, you're not talking about that. But like in you and someone you really respect, if you want to think about someone you respect and think about it in that type of way,
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can respect that person and have them always submit to your final decision. How can you still respect that person, though?
All right, let's wrap this up and get to the message. I appreciated the thoughtfulness to this conversation. This was good, healthy debate. And I think that she's kind of coming along to understand like what the role the traditional man is and serves in the relationship. And to answer to her last question and clear up maybe some curiosity, I don't want to say confusion because I don't want to lessen the fact that she was truly working to try to understand the postulates of thought that Andrew is putting out there and that I am kind of doubling down on here. You can respect a woman that voices her perspectives, her opinions, her thoughts, her ideas, mind you, and as long as they are rationally, reasonably, and logically sourced. Because most women start off every sentence or thought, idea with, I feel. And their feelings don't factor into how things are going to unfold. But when you have thoughtful, considerate conversation, and two people can factor out the best decision through rational, reasonable, logical conversation, a man can respect a woman that speaks up, gives her thoughts, her ideas that make sense, because that's what men do. We make sense of things, and when it makes sense, we could actually. We had somebody resign from our business, and I wrote a scathing 3-page letter, as it's known as the fill letter. People don't want to get the fill letter because there's all kinds of SAT words in there, and usually I dress somebody down in a very dismissive way through logic that psychoanalyzes their bad behavior, and or I use a lot of terminology that is legally based and through legalese, referencing the consequences of bad action taken against them should they offend us with not being honorable to their agreements and positions. So I wrote this gal a 3-page letter, and I dressed her down psychologically for how after 15 years she just resigned via text message. I don't respect that at all. And I printed the letter, and it sat on my desk, and Stacy came across it, and she read it. And matter of fact, there was also a client here. That client read it too. And Stacy said, I don't think you should send this. Phil, she's not evil, and she's not dirty, and she's not stupid. She's just naive, and she is just imbalanced. It's a little harsh. Don't send it. Don't send it. It's a bit much. And I took a day to think about it, and I came back to it, and I took the 3 pages, and I brought it all the way down to a page because I respected her thoughts, ideas, and opinions. So that's what you do when you have a great woman who knows how to thoughtfully and meaningfully and logically debate and argue your positions. A good man will always sit back, think about it, and say, you know, she's right, and make a good decision. As all good partnerships do, there's always somebody that's going to be having to sit in the big chair or make the big decisions. But it's always good to have the co-pilot checking your work to make sure that that plane takes off and lands the way we started. All in good working order and one piece. Mission accomplished.